Now available in paperback and Kindle, All About Marilyn. Learn all about the struggles of a faded former teen sitcom star in this absolutely fabulous 5-star screenplay. Get All About Marilyn in paperback and Kindle on Amazon.com today. I have to wonder if Jonathan Majors is ARKHAM certified. Now, according to reports, on the first day of his domestic violence trial, Jonathan Majors' ex-girlfriend Grace Jabari allegedly testified that Jonathan Majors told her to be like Coretta Scott King or Michelle Obama. Now, that whole statement, which was allegedly played in court on tape, has me scratching my head because Jonathan Majors, if he made these statements, I have to wonder if he's a rising star or if he needs to be sized up for an ARKHAM Asylum straitjacket. Because you have to be ARKHAM certified crazy to believe that a white English woman can be like Coretta Scott King or Michelle Obama. Now, this whole statement is completely insane when you understand the system of white supremacy and you understand that a white English woman, which is what Grace Jabari is, cannot be like Coretta Scott King or Michelle Obama because both of those women come from a completely different lifestyle and culture than that of a Grace Jabari. Now, for example, Coretta Scott King was raised in the dark days of Jim Crow, and during the dark days of Jim Crow, racists made media that demonized the black woman as a sexually promiscuous black Jezebel and emasculating black Sapphire who looked to humiliate men with her mouth, or a obese mammy who was an asexual woman who was fat and obese and unattractive. These were the stereotypes that Coretta Scott King had to endure as she was out here courting Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Before they got married, and was the type of racism that she encountered every day as she presented a polished and sophisticated image to counter and refute many of the anti-black narratives that were being presented in the mainstream media regarding the black female image. So that's why Coretta Scott King had to present herself as a soft, dignified, feminine black woman because she was dealing with anti-black racism, which was designed to dehumanize black women and dehumanize the black female image. So she wanted to present an ideal of black womanhood that would show how black women were human. Black women were soft and feminine, sexy and attractive, and dignified and sophisticated to present themselves in a respectable way, just like the sophisticated ladies of her day. And in the case of Michelle Obama, she also had to deal with racism over the course of the 2008 presidential campaign when she was standing at the side of her husband, Barack Obama. And as she was standing at the side of her husband, Barack Obama, she was being called a man, had people photoshopping pictures of penises on her when she had dresses on, and were looking to again further demonize her image and masculinize her image because they didn't like the idea of seeing the image of a black woman at the side of a black man, and did not like the idea of seeing a black woman being soft, sophisticated, and feminine the way Coretta Scott King was before Michelle Obama became the first lady of the White House. And both of these black women come from a culture where they had to combat racism and white supremacy by standing with a strong, dignified image. And we have Jonathan Majors, who's sitting there saying that he is allegedly trying to tell a white British woman that she needs to be like Coretta Scott King or Michelle Obama. And if he's making this claim, I have to wonder if he needs to be sized up for an ARKHAM straitjacket, because it's ARKHAM certified crazy to expect a white English woman to be the same as a black woman. Because a white English woman comes from a completely different culture because in the gynocentric system of white supremacy, a white English woman is at the height of the social marketplace in the system of white supremacy, and she's elevated to a much higher position in those white supremacist social circles than Coretta Scott King or Michelle Obama. And as a result of her being elevated to that high position, she's not looking to step down to be on the level of a Coretta Scott King or a Michelle Obama. No, a Grace Jabari likes being at that high position in the system of white supremacy, where she's elevated by not only black men, but by white men and non-black men as well. And from that position, she sees herself as being superior to any of the men in her society. And when she looks at Jonathan Majors, who she looks beneath her, and him telling her to be on the level of Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama, this is the thing that has her scratching her head, because she's on a higher social level in the system of white supremacy. And that's where I find it to be ARKHAM certified for Jonathan Majors to say that he wants Grace Jabari to be like Coretta Scott King or Michelle Obama, because it shows me how spellbound Jonathan Majors possibly was as related to Grace Jabari's crystal blue eyes, her flowing blonde hair, and her creamy white skin. When he saw all of this, he is sitting there being mesmerized by that white standard of beauty, and he wants to go out here and try to take a woman on the white standard of beauty, and then tries to have her acting as related to being a part of the black standards of social rule. That makes absolutely no logical sense when you really think about it. No, it makes no logical sense for Jonathan Majors to go out here and expect Grace Jabari to be like Michelle Obama or Coretta Scott King. No, Grace Jabari has no interest in ever being like Michelle Obama or Coretta Scott King, because she receives greater benefits in the system of white supremacy than she ever would by being at the side of a black man. And that's what this passport bro didn't really get when he traveled overseas as he was working on Ant-Man. He was one of these guys who was sitting there believing in the rainbow, not understanding this woman basically was looking for him to take a ride in a Bronco as she was sating her chocolate vitamin D fetish. And as she was sating her chocolate vitamin D fetish, he thought he was going to be able to get a white female to be a helpmeet, the way Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama were to Dr. King and Barack Obama. But when it came down to it, this feminist, indoctrinated white English woman had no interest in looking to serve Jonathan Majors. No, she was just along for the ride, and as she was along for the ride, just looking to be able to elevate her social status, because she started out just as an extra on the Ant-Man movies, and Jonathan Majors was basically a rising star. This hypergamous white woman was looking to go out here and elevate her low social status, and by being on the arm of a black man. And as she was on the arm of this black man and getting access to these other social circles, you had Jonathan Majors, who was basically, again, spellbound, thinking, oh, I've got this blonde white woman, but maybe I can go out here and try to shoehorn her into the values and ideals of black women. Well, there was no way you could ever shoehorn a white feminist indoctrinated English woman into the values of a black woman, because she doesn't come from that experience, she doesn't come from that culture, she doesn't come from that way of life, and she receives greater benefits from the system of white supremacy. So there's no way that there could ever be any sort of compliance as related to what allegedly Jonathan Majors was claiming based on Grace Jabari's testimony of her ever looking to submit to Jonathan Majors because she received twice as many benefits from the system of white supremacy than she would on the arm of Jonathan Majors. So he's sitting up here thinking, oh, I can make this white woman into the same thing as a black woman. And that's ARKHAM certified thinking, because a white woman never wants to be on the level of a black woman. And that's the kind of thing that many black males, like the passport bros, don't want to ever think about, because all they're thinking is, oh, I'll go get with this white woman because these black women are so bad. And that's basically what I believe Jonathan Majors was thinking as related to this whole relationship that he had with Grace Jabari. Now, Jonathan Majors in the past had issues as related to his parenting because his mother, basically the father, walked out on his family, or she walked out on the family. It's been a while since I've heard it, but the whole thing is his mother remarried as his father was in the military, and this Jonathan Majors was abused and he drifted around, and he had a lot of trauma and emotional baggage from the way his mother treated him. And because he thought his mother treated him bad because she was a black woman, I guess he thought, I'll go find himself a white woman that will be just like a black woman. And clearly he didn't understand the racism that goes on as related to a lot of white women. He didn't understand that when it comes to white women, they come from a completely different culture and a completely different way of life. And because they come from a completely different culture and a completely different way of life, they cannot be like a white woman a black woman, because a black woman comes from a completely different way of life than a white woman. So he's sitting there thinking that the white woman will be the same as a black woman, but a white woman, basically, her whole life is different. And if she's coming from the UK, her whole life is different. So she has no interest in being like Coretta Scott King or Michelle Obama, because she doesn't encounter any of the racism that Michelle Obama or Coretta Scott King encounter, nor does she understand about the struggles every black man goes through when he's out here on these jobs. That's only something a foundational black American or foreign black woman in some cases can understand. Only a black woman understands that her man encounters racism in this world, has to go out here and have a target on his back every day, has to deal with people being his enemy, slinging rocks at him, and has to deal with adversaries every day. That is what Michelle Obama understands. That is what Coretta Scott King understands. That's what many good sisters understand. They understand that when that black man goes out there, he needs a woman who will help meet his needs, not only physically as related to a relationship, but also emotionally, in being that support that allows him to feel encouraged to go out here the next day. Though these things that a man is looking for, that they are only unique to a black woman. And again, a quality sister knows that when that man goes out there, he's basically got to he's got to deal with an entire world waging war on him, an entire world looking to take him out. But Jonathan Majors didn't understand that when he got with Grace Jabari. No, he was out here thinking that he could get somebody who was going to be different from his mother, and he wanted to get away from his mother. Unfortunately, what happened was, as he got away from his mother, he ran right into a wall of white supremacy when Grace Jabari decided to go out here and turn on Jonathan Majors by saying that he was this sort of abusive guy with a hot temper, basically trying to paint him as a super brute. And as she looked to paint him as super brute, she wanted to talk about how he had a violent temper and was extremely violent. And I have to really look at that, and I don't really believe that at all. I know that he was a man in crisis, but I don't really believe that he was violent to the point where he was basically beating this woman up, because I know that with these white females, all they have to do is dial 911 and that black man will be going to jail. So I look at this whole case again with Jonathan Majors, and I see Grace Jabari as somebody who I find to be quite suspect. I see Jonathan Majors as a man in crisis with serious issues as related to his black male identity, and I also see him as somebody who definitely is seeming like something is wrong, because no black man out here who has his head set on straight is going to look for a white woman to be like Coretta Scott King or Michelle Obama. No black man like myself who has experienced racism every day and lives in a white supremacist system. I know I can't expect no white woman to understand what I go through every day, having a target on my back every day, and not knowing where every day, any day in this world would be my last day or my last minute on earth, because all it takes is one word from someone and I could wind up dead or in prison. Only a black woman understands this. Only a black woman understands this because she's under the same system of oppression. So when I listen to Jonathan Majors saying, oh, I expect this white English woman to be like Michelle Obama, that's just, again, ARKHAM certified thinking. I mean, only an ARKHAM certified individual is going to sit there and expect a white English woman who receives all the benefits from the system of white supremacy, is elevated to the highest position in Western society, to look down at a black man and say, I want to come down to the level of Michelle Obama and Martin Luther King's wife, and be out here being on their level as related to the system of white supremacy. Now, a black man, when he gets with a black woman like a Coretta Scott King or a Michelle Obama, a fine, sophisticated lady, yes, he will elevate that woman to a high status. He will hold her in great regard because he knows that this woman will be a helpmeet who will help meet his needs as he works towards the goals of empowering them and sharing power with her. And he knows that it's her being the helpmeet to him that is giving him the emotional support that inspires him to continue persevering in the face of adversity. That is what a black man understands, and that is what makes the dynamics of black love what they are. And this is what Jonathan Majors didn't understand. You can't have black on black love concepts with a white foreign female. No, you can only get black on black love dynamics that Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama had with a black man. And I'd say only really with Coretta Scott King did you see it in real action. I mean, with Coretta Scott King and Dr. King, you saw those black on black love dynamics. And what Jonathan Majors wanted to get was black on black love dynamics with a white woman. And that wasn't going to work because white females they have a whole different relationship dynamic with white men, and they see white men mostly as from a commodified perspective, and they see the relationships from a commodified perspective because for white men and white women, relationships are business, whereas for black men and black women, it's very personal. And that's why you saw that love between Coretta Scott King and Dr. King and Michelle Obama and Barack Obama is completely different relationship dynamics. But Jonathan Majors couldn't see this because he was a man in crisis, and a man in crisis can't see a picture because he's seeing things from a rose-colored reality. And because he sees things from a rose-colored reality, he can't see what's really going on. And Jonathan Majors sadly couldn't see that Grace Jabari basically was playing him like chess, looking to go out here and again elevate her social status by being with a black man as related to the chocolate vitamin D fetish and elevating her social status by being on the arms of an A-list black man, or on his way to being an A-list black man. And that was better than being on the Z-list with white guys. And that's the only reason why she was with Jonathan Majors. And sadly, Jonathan Majors doesn't see the big picture, because he's still living in that rose-colored reality where he's looking for things from black women that are unique to black women. And again, if you wanted a Coretta Scott King or a Michelle Obama, Jonathan Majors, all he had to do while he was on the campus of those Ivy League universities was go out here and check for the sisters. But he didn't want to check for the sisters because he had mama issues. And because he had mama issues, he took his passport and got with this white English woman. And as he got with this white English woman turned him out and put him in a situation where he became a man in crisis. And now he's out here with Megan Good, hoping that she turn her into a Michelle Obama or a Coretta Scott King, but still showing me that he's not ready for any relationship with any women at this point. No, Jonathan Majors, basically, when it comes to relationships, he's ARKHAM certified, because you cannot get a relationship from a white woman with the traits of that of a black woman. Now, if you want to learn more about the whole spellbound mindset and how it puts guys like Jonathan Majors in a box where they wind up getting jammed up by white people, you can pick up my book Spellbound on paperback and Kindle format on Amazon.com and learn more about the spellbound mindset. And if you want to learn why guys like Jonathan Majors wind up making decisions like this, you can pick up my book, Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance on Amazon.com, along with my other men's issues books, which go in detail about this issue, like why 70% of black women are single, and my other book, The Woman Crisis. All of these books go in depth in the issues as related to the relationship dynamics, as related to why things are so dysfunctional. And when it comes to relationships, these books will help you get a better perspective on why so many guys like Jonathan Majors are in a major mess right now. And if you want to see me make more videos like this about entertainers and the entertainment industry, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, All About Nikki, A Fabulous First Season. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air meets Clueless in this absolutely fabulous African-American 1990s teen sitcom. Get all 13 episodes of All About Nikki, The Fabulous First Season in paperback and e-readers today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.